There we go. Oh, wait. I should have looked. That doesn't look right. I got to fix that.
Just don't look there. Just look there.
No, but look, the print. All right. Sorry, everyone. This is the first time we're doing a show together. I'm sitting there holding.
Oh, the black on the background.
Yeah, I got to fix that. Okay. So we're doing the show together from Thomas Westbrook's house. And this is weird because I'm not in my normal like production studio. So this is going to be a little difficult. One exception today is we're not going to be taking calls, unfortunately, because again, I'm not set up from my house right now. There we go. Oh, it still says Hannah. Anyways, Jenna, while I fix this,
yes.
How's it going?
We were going to do an episode on motherhood today because it is Mother's Day. And I happen to be new to motherhood. I have a little one right here due in 7 weeks. But we decided to change it because Ethan came to town. Do you want to tell the story? Do you want me to tell the story?
Oh, go ahead. Tell the story. Because I don't remember what story we're telling.
Ethan came to town and we went very safely. Sorry.
All right, Kaitlyn. Wow, I'm so sorry. I am disorientated, out of place, not used to this. You can go ahead and hang up from the screener line. We can't take calls today. I am so sorry.
It didn't even occur to me. I'm sorry about that as well. Now we've learned something else today.
Yeah.
And thank you for being here every week. We love you. But anyway, so very distantly, we went to a dinner downtown, which I haven't been downtown in months, and he's never been downtown. And if anybody knows, 6th Street in Austin is a pretty busy street. It's pretty populated, and there's a huge homeless problem. I don't know if it's everywhere, but at least in Austin, there is a huge problem with it's heartbreaking. But we witnessed just a very tragic event that Hannah and I were just emotional. And then Ethan, thank God for Ethan.
Oh, don't say that.
Because he brought it up at dinner. He said, I feel like we should have done something. And so then we all started thinking about it. And I agree. I at first thought that it wasn't our place. Now, let me explain what happened. There was a man on the street corner yelling. I don't know what he was yelling, but he was yelling. He was throwing his hands. He was very animated. And then a car turned the corner in front of him, and he just went and slammed his hands on the back window and just kept going and crossed the street, started yelling at some homeless people trying to sleep on like a cement thing. And it was just shocking and heartbreaking. And he was wearing like hospital pants and socks and a t-shirt. And then it's like, before you know it, he was like 2 blocks away, just yelling and screaming. And I was just like, what can we do? I asked Ethan this morning, what would you have done differently? Because I don't know. And he had the perfect answer that I'm like, well, while we are not professionals, we are not mental health professionals. We just want to share some thoughts that we had about this experience and would like to know if anybody else has experienced anything like that and what you did, just so that we can kind of expose and get people kind of prepared for if you ever see anything like this, here's what we would do.
Right. Not saying this is what you need to do. No,
exactly.
Here's the thing. As I expressed to Jenna earlier today, I was a little disappointed in myself because I'm used to reacting and handling these situations, but I was completely out of my element. I'm in Austin, Texas, had a conversation with Thomas about how everyone has guns around here. And I'm like, okay, I'm completely out of my element. What do I do? And I will say, I should have still acted. What I should have done, and I'm not saying other people should do this. This is just me. I should have called the non-emergency police and said they needed to send a mental health professional down. Because
how do you call non-emergency police?
Just Google non-emergency, the town you're in, /non-emergency police, and then it'll give you the number.
Okay.
And then you call them, let them know the situation, that you obviously didn't want to call 911, because here's the thing, calling 911 on a someone who may be having mental health issues is not necessarily
interpreted.
Right, because at times officers are not equipped to deal with these things, and they will come out aggressively and not understand the position that person's in. You have to approach it very differently. You can't just come up, start threatening them, and expect them to just listen to you. It's not how it works. So I would have called non-emergency, asked for a mental health professional if possible, let them know the situation, let them know that the guy was clearly not of sound mind, and somebody who is better equipped needed to handle the situation. I would have, which I'm not recommending to other people, would have followed this person around at a safe distance, only because he was aggressive, and I saw him kicking a window. He hit a car, just for the safety of other pedestrians, I think.
And there was a guy, the guy whose car he hit did get on the phone. And so that's why I saw him on the phone. I saw him looking, and I thought, oh, they don't need to get blown up with calls, right? They're handling it. But then the point that he said was that he was angry about it, and he was like, I'm going to get.
Yeah, I forgot exactly what he said, but it was fairly aggressive on what he wanted to do.
He was angry at him instead of empathetic about what happened. And so it was obviously extreme stress.
Yes.
Whether there was drugs involved or not, I have no idea. There was just there was trauma. There was pain there. So
I mean, he was like screaming, like in anguish.
And it's like, oh, I'm like, I want to go up and like ask him what's wrong, but what am I going to do?
Well, right. This person was in no condition for a regular conversation.
So I'm going to say personally, do not approach somebody who is in extreme emotional distress that you have no idea who they are or what the situation is, because it can be dangerous for you. People can be desperate and do things that they wouldn't normally do out of fear.
Which I at times overlook, and will put myself in those situations because
I almost did that same night, trying to help a guy get a piece of pizza.
Right. Yeah, that was.
It's more heartbreaking. Like,
right.
So the thing is, I'm seeing just more homelessness than I've ever seen before, and it's. I wonder if anybody can put in the chat, since we can't take calls today. If anybody can put in the chat what you think, what would you do? And have you seen anything like this? And what did you do? It's just, God, mental health should be a bigger conversation.
It really should. And in America, our mental health system is just a joke.
And now that I think about it, I call 911 when I see a drunk driver.
So that's another situation where, like, you always want to call, but you also, like, you don't want to also, like.
Well, I started with the first thing they ask is this an emergency?
Right.
And I say no. So I think I don't know if it goes to a different place.
In a way, it is an emergency. If somebody is driving drunk, you could potentially be preventing a fatal accident.
That's true. So I guess we need to define what emergency is.
Yeah. Because also, I feel bad because I don't want to put other people in that, like, I mean, yeah, I shouldn't feel bad. They're putting themselves by drinking, but you just never know what that person's been through. And I don't like.
I've been that person. I've drunk drove.
I don't want like someone being stuck in jail or potentially life altering situation over one mistake. But then that can be seen as a pretty big mistake that impacts other people. So
that's complicated.
It is.
I used to drink and drive regularly. I used to be convinced. I'm embarrassed to tell anybody this, by the way. But I used to be convinced that the more I drank, the better driver I was, because I paid so much more attention. And I just didn't mess up.
Right.
Right. I've been in 2 drunk driving accidents, both of my own fault. And the thing is that from what I've been learning about criminal justice in this country, if I had gone to jail, I don't think that I would have been able to have the growth and have the time to have the realization that I'm an alcoholic and I need rehab and then go.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, maybe it's good to, I mean, it's such a complicated thing.
Yes, Arden, we're in the same studio. I wish you were here right now, because I do really want to meet you. I'll be here till I won't be here till like midnight, but I'll be in Austin until like midnight.
Yeah, it's so awesome. So he just finished. Well, do you want to tell?
Yeah. Okay. So I, for those who don't know, I host a show with Hannah called Pickup Line on sex, dating, and relationships, and I get quite bashful when talking about sex.
And that's natural because it's not a normal conversation yet.
Right.
At least not for us.
So I came up with the idea of doing like Ethan reacts to sex toys, and then Hannah's like, I've got some sex toys. Let's just do a pickup line together. So we pre-recorded about 20 minutes of the pickup line. We'll be doing the rest live this Thursday, but the first 20 minutes will be pre-recorded of her showing me sex toys she had in her possession and me trying to guess what they were. And
I don't know that I would do much better than you did.
It was like I could feel how embarrassed, like my face getting red during that.
Man, we need to do like a mental health and sex play.
Mental health and sex.
Noted.
Dude.
Well, have we done mental health and sex? I don't think we have.
No, but we should do mental health and sex because it makes a difference. Speaking from the perspective of somebody who actually went quite a long time without it, you start to feel like after you get it, you feel wanted again. But beforehand, you start feeling like isolated and alone and not wanted by other people. It's really like it for me, it debilitated my mental health. And then I felt my confidence go back up again, feel a little bit better after I finally had sex again. But
do you mind if I ask if it was by choice or not?
Yes.
Yes, that you mind?
Sorry. No. Oh, sorry. No, I don't mind. Okay. Yes, it was by choice in a way. Okay. So
I mean, you don't have to.
No, it's something to talk about, so I might as well. My partner and I grew apart a long time before we actually split, to the point that it was just no interest anymore in that. And then coupled with I was having, my own mental health struggles that I was even like, I shouldn't say I wasn't thinking about it. I was thinking about it a lot, but I was thinking about it with other people. So then when we were like finally getting ready to split, I was like driving me nuts. I was so horny, but I couldn't go. Like I felt like if I would have went out, I would have been cheating on her because we hadn't officially established that we're allowed to see other people. So, but then when I finally did, oh shit, it was like, so that's what that feels like. Like it was so calming again. I didn't feel so like, but even now I've noticed there are some serious repercussions. Like I have trouble. Yeah. I have trouble in intimate settings. Like I'm really shy and introverted. And even my view of sex can be kind of negative because of how I was raised. So it makes for an interesting combo.
Well, and then also you're making the transition from one kind of sexual lifestyle to a different.
Yes. Very different.
Sexual and more open.
Yes. Which lifestyle. I'm not used to. Like with someone who is so progressive and forward with their friends and talking about it, I'm just like, because to me, I've still got that programming. Like you're not supposed to talk about sex.
See, I get that instead of getting like bashful about it, I get like rebellious.
Really?
I'm like, yeah, we can talk about this. Because I wasn't allowed to before, but now I can, kind of thing,
I just force myself to because I know it should be acceptable to talk about.
I guess I've been wanting to talk about it my whole life. I've been telling my journal about it. Anyway, so
should we get back on topic?
That's what I was just gonna say. Have you ever seen anything else like that? And what did you do?
I have been in endless scenarios, and that's why I'm probably harder on myself for not acting.
You were a DJ.
Yeah, I've seen it all, man. Like, and it's just to me, I just always was used to acting. Like that was my default position, was when you see a fight or when you see an issue, you're face first in it, you're grabbing. Like I had this thing where it'd be like, because I never wanted my glasses to get broken. So I'd like whoever's next to me, like, hey, watch my glasses, set them down, and then I dart over there. Because things get ugly fast. Like people are aggressive, and once the violence starts, there's times like people, like there'll be one person on top of another person pounding, or they'll have their friends involved, and they'll all be just beating the shit out of one person. And if you don't stop it quickly, that person can be seriously injured. There was a bar about 30 minutes from where I lived. The guy got his baseball bat, and next thing we know, one guy died, another guy's in a coma. It was a really bad situation, which is also why it's dangerous to act. And I'm not telling other people to act. I'm only telling what I do.
Right.
I've seen
you don't interact physically anymore.
Oh, I do. Oh, sorry. Anymore? It's been a long time since I've really been in that type of situation.
Would you?
I'm a different person now. I want to say yes. I still think I should and I would. But as Jenna saw, like when we went out last night, I'm very socially anxious. So I would like to think I still would. Thinking wise, I believe that's still the right choice for me. Because to me, all it takes is 1 second to be the difference in saving somebody's life. Like if I don't act fast enough, and that person dies or gets seriously injured, for the rest of my life, I'm going to go, all I had to do was frigging act.
You take on so much responsibility for other people. I don't know. Do you realize that?
I mean, it seems normal to me.
It probably is normal to you.
It's like, just, I don't know what you're supposed to do. Like, it's, I don't know. When things happen that I take responsibility for things that I don't get involved in helping if there's a bad outcome.
So you feel obligated to get involved?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna feel guilty for quite a while that I didn't do anything to help that guy yesterday. I'm going to be thinking of every situation I could have handled it better.
This is interesting. So I've only experienced like one other that I can think of, at least one other scenario like that. And I'm going somewhere with this. So what happened was I was in my hometown, which I was very sheltered. And I went to a bigger school halfway through high school and went to a park with some friends. And over on the other side of the park, there was a group of kids, I'm going to say like intermediate school age, younger than me. And when I was in high school, and there was a group of kids beating up on one guy. I mean, I couldn't even count how many people there were. There were so many people beating up on one guy. And there was a group of us other kids, not cheering or anything, but watching. And I was thinking, I mean, I was like 100 pounds, like, what am I going to do?
Most people don't act.
But if I had known that there is something so this is the thing is, I feel like you feel obligated because you've been raised in a specific gender role that it is your responsibility to protect everyone because you're a dude, right? I was raised to stay out of it and keep my eyes closed, and all that. And so this is interesting, just the difference in exposure and experience and the feeling of responsibility. But the thing is, once you can talk about it, once you can realize what kind of natural instincts you have a natural instinct to jump in physically. I have a natural instinct to cry, which does nothing for anyone. But now that I know that, we can prepare. We can say, oh my God, if that ever happened again, there is something I could do. The thing is, I don't know if I trust everyone that would get involved. So that's my fear. That's one of the things that holds me back, because I'm like, I don't know that I'm helping.
Okay, so that's the other situation, is where on one end, I'll be the first to be like, dude, why aren't people getting involved? But on the other end, most people don't know how to handle these situations. They just don't. And they can make the situation nervous. Most cops I've seen don't know how to handle these situations. Right. I'm not trying to be mean or crap on them, but some 21-year-old kid who has no experience, like I spent 15 years in a bar. I know how to de-escalate these problems without the use of a gun or force.
Right. I was joking earlier about, I was like, they should get a bunch of cocktail waitresses out there to
dude, cocktail waitresses, bartenders.
Speaking as an ex-cocktail waitress,
would be better in the, I can't paint with too broad of a brush, but in general, they have more experience in dealing and defusing these situations than police officers. Like, to me, I think police officers should be thrown in a bar for 6 months before they're even allowed to, because you develop a different type of life experience. You know, I can walk into a bar and within a few minutes determine who's going to be the problem people for the evening. Like I did it as a DJ. I'd let bartenders know, like, hey, by the end of the night, this guy, that person, they're going to be the problems. And sure enough, they would be the problems. There's physical tells these people have,
Right.
which can be really hard to describe because it's a thing you sense.
Well, I guess you have to learn it.
Right. I would like to better learn the things I'm picking up on. But I forgot where I was going with this.
I think, I don't know, but it's appropriate. But I'm thinking back to when I worked at the strip club. And I think about there were so many guys there. Like there was a DJ that was always a guy. There was bartenders. There was almost always a guy there, even if there was a chick bartender. The managers were mostly guys. And so there was a bouncer and a bar back, you know, so there's a bunch of guys that would always jump in and just take the situation outside. So the women really never didn't see much. You know, we would experience the initial reaction and all that. I've been pinched before. Right here.
Hurts.
Oh, that's not even relevant.
That's another thing, though. What people don't understand is how important body language is when entering in these situations. When someone is fighting, if you go to get involved, they are already in
attack mode.
And if they perceive you as a threat,
right,
they're going to attack you. So you have to come into these situations as a non-threatening ally. You have to have calm body language. Your voice has to be toned. It can't be threatening. Like, hey, you. Like, very, like, you have to find ways to make sure they don't perceive you as a threat.
But it's also hard to keep your own nervous system from
it
reacting.
is, because you're like, oh my God. And you're like, no, I can't. If I go into this situation, like, even with my fists clenched, that person is going to see that and they're going to either attack or be ready for me to attack, which I'm not going to do.
So I wonder if is the only thing that I could do as a small person who is incapable of physically doing much good anywhere. Is there anything I could do other than call somebody? Do you think that it would be appropriate from your experience, your own personal experience with breaking up fights and all that? Could somebody like me walk up and actually gently diffuse it?
Yes. I'm not saying you should.
Okay.
But I have seen I have seen that happen on numerous occasions where certain women that worked at the bar just knew how to calm these men down, and they would jump right in the middle of, you know, a fight between two guys, and before you know what, the fight's like, next thing you know, guys are just talking shit and getting pulled apart. Like, she would
jump into the physical, fist fight.
Yeah, dude, I've even seen my mom, like, when she ran a bar, she diffused some of these fights sometimes. Like, Mom, will you stay out of this shit?
Well, see, the diffusing I get, like, so as I've diffused things, but I've never diffused a fist fight. I haven't actually seen very many fist fights in my life. I've been very sheltered.
I've unfortunately seen a lot. I think I had told you this, the first night I DJ'd, I got my ass kicked by 5 guys. That was not fun.
Right. I've never had my ass kicked.
Yeah.
I've never been punched.
It sucks. It feels like an eternity. You're laying on the ground covering up and you're just getting stomped and you're just like thinking, like, when will this shit end? Am I going to wake up from this? Like, and you can't do it. Like, I don't care how tough you are. 5 guys on top of you, man.
Okay, IQ's question.
Oh yeah, and again, since we're not in the same studio, it's kind of more difficult to keep up with the comments. IQ says, question: what are, or have you both considered what your general psychological fire extinguishers are for de-escalating certain situations?
Oh, that's a good question. What about you?
I don't even know how to answer that.
Let me think.
Like, what calms me down?
No. Like, what's your first go-to tool? I think, like, what's the first thing you would do? Would you say something? Would you do something?
Okay, so it really depends.
So no, we haven't considered it before, but we are now.
I mean, is it a physical? Is it about to get physical? Is it just yelling? Because there's times like, you can see people like that are just swearing at each other, and like, I'm not fazed because I'm like, this isn't going to turn a fight. They're just yelling. There's like.
So I wonder, do you ask what's going on? Maybe that's a good way to make them both feel heard. What's going on? You know, kind of look at both of them. Let's talk about this. You know, do you think that's?
a great tactic, if you know the person, is be like, dude, let's just go smoke some weed. It's not worth it, man. It works. Not all the time,
Once
but
you're
it's
already
worked.
in that fight or flight mode.
If you already, like, you can calm people down with some surprisingly weird tactics.
Right. I think that's what we're trying to learn.
It's shit. Like, you have to, sorry, I'm not saying you have to. What I've done is you have to say things that get them out of that mode, that disorientate them. Like, have you ever seen those videos of people walking up with food in the middle of fights, and then all of a sudden people are like not knowing what to do because food is a calming, non-threatening thing. So when you think about eating, you're not in fight mode.
Because when you're in fight mode, you're not thinking about eating.
Right. So
So what if I made like a funny sexual comment?
I mean, and that's it. I mean? There's no broad brush I can paint. Yes, if you can disarm them with humor, it can work, but you have to know their humor, the situation.
Right. You could read it wrong.
Right. So I can't tell people what to do because I can't give people the instincts that I currently have.
Well, no, we're just sharing options.
Right.
Obviously you have to learn how to read a situation.
Yes.
And that takes practice, and you can really mess up. And to be bluntly, brutally honest, you can die.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first time, because people get really unlucky.
Yeah.
So anytime you're inserting yourself into a situation that you are unfamiliar with, again, coming from a layman,
know the risks.
There are risks. Yeah. Well, you can't necessarily know them, but you at least have to try to consider them.
Yes. Getting involved in, even at times,
I'm not saying you have to. I'm saying I would.
Right.
Sorry.
No, getting involved in non-threatening situations, even at times, can become threatening if you don't know how to handle more aggressive scenarios. So that's why I can't tell people.
What we want to avoid, though, is what you had mentioned earlier, where you get the observer effect or the outsider effect,
where everybody
assumes that everybody else called.
And that happens too much.
That can't happen.
I've seen it. What's disturbing is when you see it on video and things happening to women, and there's people like walking by, and it's like, what is wrong with you? Like, I don't know.
People don't know what to do, and we can get desensitized pretty quickly.
Yeah.
When you think about the number of violent movies we've seen, seeing people die so realistically.
Jesse Clark, one of my disabilities is not always being able to clearly identify specific situations on the spur of the moment.
I think that's actually most people. I'm not trying to invalidate you in any way, that I believe you. But in addition, I think most people, at least with no experience, I don't think that's a natural thing.
I learned it from my grandma.
Necessarily. There might be people who do, I don't know any that just without any experience,
Yeah. My grandma always had no problem. Like, she didn't give a shit. So tough little Polish woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, we're gonna just go on for another half hour. We're gonna cut this episode a little bit short. Just because of this situation, we can't take calls right now, but we just really wanted to expose this idea of preparing yourself for whatever it is that you would do when faced with an extremely unfamiliar and emotional situation, or whether it's familiar, even just emotional.
Well, the real question is, can we get another 30 minutes out of this topic?
Maybe. Well, now that I'm on the spot, no.
This is very different, sitting right next to you.
Well, actually, I know where we can go with this. And not strangers, your family, people that know you and already have an association and assumption about you. So if you were to see, like, you have brothers, right?
Yeah.
So if you saw them fighting, like bad fighting, what would you do?
Same thing? You get involved. You pull them off each other. You can approach that situation with people you can approach it very differently.
You can.
I can. Thank you. Yeah, in that situation, I would just grab one of my brothers, like, get the fuck out of here. What are you doing? Like,
really?
Yeah.
So again, as a small person, I have to prepare myself, because I need to come up with like a line.
Hey, is one thing I've said is I've looked at the person. Hey man, do you really think this person's worth it? That's jarred people too. You force them to think.
That's a very good question. Is this
there? And then there are.
Well, no, I can just see so many people in my yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that's why every situation has to be read individually, and there's no way to.
There is no blanket answer.
No. I could not write this stuff down in a book because it could all go horribly wrong by just the situation being misidentified.
So that's the thing that one thing that you learn in the bar industry is that when somebody walks into that bar, you may give them their first drink there, but that you have no idea what else they've drank, what else they've taken, how much sleep they've had. You know, you don't know anything else necessarily. So you have to very quickly try to read people.
This reminds me of a story.
Go for it.
I can't say which bar this was, but there was a bar that did not let that there was so up until 10 p.m. you were allowed in because if you were under 21 because it was a restaurant. But then after 10 p.m. you had to be 21 to get in. Well, this girl came in and she was drunk. She was not. It was before 10 o'clock, and when they found she was drunk, she had not drinking there. They asked her to leave. She got hit by a car, and they said that it was the bar's fault for serving her, even though they had clear footage showing she just walked in and was asked to leave after 5 minutes. The bar got their liquor license taken away. Their entertainment license taken away. And after about 2 years of financially struggling, they ended up having to close.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous. Okay, I have a similar story. I have a friend who at the club, she was like the best cocktail waitress. Like she never drank, which is like rare. Very on the ball, very professional, very, very good at handling situations and everything. There was a guy that came in. There were two guys that came in. One of them was just staggeringly drunk, and we were all watching him. The other guy, it wasn't nearly as obvious. The other guy, for some reason, cops come in and see that guy and tell that he's drunk and pull the cocktail waitress and try to charge her with a ticket and take away her TABC license as a waitress. Wow. To sell alcohol because he had drank too much. And it's like, well, when you think about bars, to say that nobody is ever served past 0.08 is not possible.
No, it happens all the time.
So it's like if you do go into a bar and just pick out this guy and say, well, that's the law. Like, what? Oh man, see, that's the thing is just because they're police or, authoritative people or authority figures doesn't mean that they know what they're doing.
Nope.
So again, another thing to weigh before getting other people involved. Sometimes I wonder if there's a situation that you would see that would tell you, you know what? I think they should work this out.
What do you mean?
Like, well, I guess it wouldn't be a physical thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's times people just like need to yell it out for a few minutes and then they're cool.
Right.
Or they end up getting a drink together and then celebrating the rest of the night.
I feel so awkward involving myself, which I think that's most people.
Oh, yeah.
Involving myself in a situation that has nothing to do with me. There, who was it that was telling us about the CP? Was it Thomas about the, oh my God, I just blanked. I had the story. ADHD, man.
It's
Dang,
a bit.
I had a good story too.
We got to
oh. Fuck, I lost it. Shit. We got to what? What did we get to do?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Mine's gone
Jesus. So there's a situation where you see two people pulling a young teenage girl almost violently into a car, and she's being belligerent.
Oh, yes. I remember this.
And you are trying to decide as a person with a CHL, a certified handgun license, and you have a gun, when to use it, when to get involved that way. What?
I have a story like this, but I'll let you continue.
Okay. So you kind of ask it people what they do. And some people are like, well, I'd shoot them. And some people are like, well, I'd pull it out and tell them to stop or I'll shoot, or, just some answers. But it turns out that what you don't know is that those two people pulling her into a vehicle are her parents. And she's manic and she needs help. They're trying to get her to a hospital. You don't know everything.
That's true. And that actually reminds me of a story. What would you do if you saw a man get out of a car and go pin a younger person down, like get them to the ground and hold them down to the ground?
I don't know if I'm ever okay with that.
So that situation happened. My brother ran away, and anytime he ran away, I would go find him. Because it's scary. I don't want my brother gone, but he was having issues with my parents, and he wouldn't he wouldn't come back home. And I at that time figured it was my responsibility to bring him home. So when I found him, I got in the car, pinned him down. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that situation could have been handled way better.
What would you have done differently?
I would got out of the car and be like, dude, being on the streets isn't the way to go, but I understand your frustration with our parents. Let's go find a safe place for you to stay.
So you don't think that you should have pinned him down?
No.
And if you had seen another man pin another man down, what would you do?
Involved.
So yeah, I think it's the physical barrier. Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
What would you do? I saw this in a St. Louis grocery store. Yeah. This was. I was shocked. Like I didn't know what to do. I saw this woman just grab her daughter's arm and just like yank her, and the daughter's crying, and she's just yanking her and yelling at her, saying "Shut up!" and just like emotionally and physically abusive. Obviously, here in the parking lot of a grocery store. What do I do?
Excuse me, ma'am, is there an issue? Or what's the problem?
Stay out of it.
Well, no, I know that's. I'm saying
that would be a hypothetical response. Stay out of it. This has nothing to do with you. Now, what do you say?
What do you mean? What do I say?
Like, put yourself in my shoes and tell me what you would have done, and I'll be like a hypothetical.
I usually say like, "Hey, is everything okay over here?"
Yes.
What seems to be the issue? Oh, I get what we're doing. I get what we're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Approaching this person fairly aggressively. There does seem to be.
Do you have a problem with my parenting?
I have an issue with the way you're talking to that person.
This is nothing to do with you. Stay out of this. And then the verbal abuse turns to you.
Okay, you've made it my business when you are assaulting a child.
And what would be the line of assaulting a child? Because emotional assault is a thing,
right? I don't know. It's I can recognize it, but I don't know that I could draw a clear line, because people, we all get frustrated at times.
We all have bad moments.
Right. And like, it's also, parents at times get embarrassed that their kids, acting the way they are. So they might lash out a little harder. There's no clear line. I will say I used to be okay with like spanking and stuff. And I'm like vehemently opposed to that now. It's like, nope, it's abuse. It's not cool.
Yeah.
And
corporal punishment. I'm changing that word, the way I use that word. Spanking just sounds really naughty, like in a sexual way, like in a decent way.
We just call it abuse.
Right. I mean,
physical
assault.
Abuse.
Assault.
Oh yeah, assault.
Yeah. Let's not get into that. Let's not get into that. Well, actually, no, let's get into that. If you saw a parent spanking, considering how controversial that issue is at the moment, I know that I think we're progressing towards a better view on it, in my opinion. Meaning we're saying it's bad. Don't do it. But there are many, 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 many people who completely disagree.
I know.
So at this point, I don't even know if CPS would get involved.
That's a good question too. Would they get involved?
That is a very good question. If anybody has actually, my best friend's other best friend works for CPS. I could probably ask her at some point. if I don't get to do that, I hope somebody in the chat can let us know, some kind of a resource. Let us know when do you get CPS involved? When do you call CPS on somebody?
After the show, you need to go on your Facebook and edit the name of this video to change it from mental health and motherhood to mental health, because I can't change your Facebook page.
Well, actually, we're talking about motherhood now, ish. No, but so that's another interesting thing. Oh,
this is so different doing a show together.
It is. So that's the other thing. There's so many new things right now. Thank y'all for bearing with us, but I think this is a good conversation.
It is. I hope so.
I think so.
I feel like we're in like a radio studio almost now.
Thomas Westbrook has a very nice setup.
He does.
Very, very, very nice sounding. Very professional.
Yes,
I love
it's
it.
a really, really cool setup.
I'm working on that.
I got to work on mine now too, especially since I just moved. I've got to get the soundboards put back up. I got to decide what I'm doing with it. That's the biggest thing, is how I'm going to have everything set up, which I'll hopefully do soon, because right now it's just got this white wall background, which really sucks. It just doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It feels like I went backwards in terms of quality, which I don't like. To me, I always want the quality of our shows to just go up, not take like steps back.
Well, I mean, we're going to take steps back eventually, here and there.
True.
We're human.
This is
That's
good
another
sounding
thing we're
mic.
trying to normalize.
This is a good sounding mic, by the way.
I agree.
I need to get one of these.
Yeah.
There's like no background noise. Like even just stepping away, like it really it doesn't pick up all the crap.
Well, let's see if we can advertise. What's the brand? Shure. SHURE.
SM7B. Oh, I think this is the one Eric told me about.
Yeah. So for anybody who's streaming, these are really good mics.
And if you see my eyes keep going up there, it's because that's where the camera is in my studio. It's on top of the monitor. So I keep looking up there because that's my discipline. Like, you need to look at the camera. So I'm not looking at the camera, but I think I'm looking at the camera.
There's the camera right there.
Right. But I just keep looking over there every time. I'm just like, yep, got to stop doing that.
Man.
It's weird what you get used to. Small things like that. Like even now, I'm still looking above the monitor.
Kaitlyn's comment. The only problem is that Ethan has to sit down.
Yeah, I don't like sitting down either, especially because I have back issues. It does not help. Unless I'm on a bouncy ball. Like if I'm sitting on a bouncy ball, that there's like no pressure on my back, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm more of like a standing person, so I can kind of move, and
I do that sometimes. I need to do that sometimes.
Yeah. Like right now,
so let's see what we didn't change it on the front, did we? Mental health and
we changed it on YouTube.
Okay.
But we didn't change it on the Facebook pages because I can't change it.
Okay.
It's kind of more difficult to change. You have to do
That's
it like
fine.
go page by page, but I can't change it on yours.
Anyway, so what else kind of situations? Because I think we got to the CPS and then both of us really didn't know what to say about it, because that's parenting is such a touchy issue. Yeah, it is great.
This mouse, even his mouse, Thomas's mouse is like really fast. I can't stop looking above the monitor. There's no camera there, Ethan.
Okay.
Ma.
Let's see. Addiction. Well, I guess that's actually a part of a lot of mental breakdowns.
That's another thing. What we were talking about is like seeing all these tents and people on the streets. It's like, why? Like there are people literally with billions in their bank, and these people are starving. And the right has done a very good job of getting people to demonize the poor. Poor and the mentally ill, they're just lazy. No, I'm not saying that. That's the viewpoint typically they have. And I see it, like the posts some people make on Facebook just telling people to get jobs, and just like, it's just
get
not
a job
that simple.
If it's that easy.
It's not.
No, it's a game you have to play, and not everybody wins every game.
Well, here, to give you an example, one of the didn't mean to do that. One of the things like I've thought about is looking at when looking for other when I have thought about looking for other IT jobs is the learning process. Like I can't learn the same way I used to. I really struggle. So I actually have to sit and contemplate, like, is it worth the time to learn? Because I could end up not like,
Oh my God.
like I could end up not passing the test. I'm going to look so stupid. I'm going to get fired. I better not. I'll just stay with the job I'm comfortable with, because I am so bad with like those like quizzes and the reading and all that shit.
What if you stayed with a job you were comfortable with while applying?
That's what I'm saying. But that's even if I was like, what if I get offered a job and then, you know,
oh, and then after you leave, you find out that it's not for you.
Right. Or like,
Oh.
Well, just in general, like the fear of having to take those new job tests and those things, it drives, it's like, it's horrifying.
Yeah, actually, well, I mean, this is appropriate to mental health. I've been struggling. I actually lost unemployment. And the only requirement that I really had to do was apply to 3 jobs every week. The problem is that some things that I've learned about myself since the pandemic and since deconverting and starting to figure out who I actually am, and quitting drinking, right, which covered up a lot.
Right.
It's very, very hard for me just to do one job application. It's very difficult for me to not only get the motivation to do it, even if it's easy. Like there's some that's like one-click application and it like automatically sends your resume and stuff, right? Finding a job that I know that because I feel like I'm lying, because I don't think I could do a job that I don't passionately care about at this moment. After all the experience that I've had with this activism and how much time I've put into it, I can't stop that and go just like work for oil and gas again.
Right.
You know, it's like I can't just go,
because we're actually doing something here that matters.
And it's become so much of who I am that I quit drinking and had to stop waiting tables because I had panic attacks because I couldn't handle being around the alcohol and the alcoholics. I couldn't handle it. And I'm like, I think that if I were to try to start working again, I would experience it. I would feel so panic attacks.
Right.
So I feel like I'm being dishonest by even applying, by saying so. And then there's also a question that asks, like, are you capable of working? And I'm like, well, I don't think I qualify for disability. You know, right. So according to them, I don't have an excuse. But it's, you see what I mean? Like, it's just so.
It's more complicated than just get a job.
It's not just apply for 3 jobs even a week. It's not even just that. It's like, you don't know what you're asking sometimes. Right. So yeah, I actually have to now try to work and figure out how to get it back.
I'm sorry, Jenna.
I mean, I'm embarrassed to say that because that's all I had to do. It doesn't sound like anything. I'm actually about to start crying right now. That could be the pregnancy hormones. But I there's just so much about myself that I have found blockages, like just roadblocks. I try to go here, roadblock. I try to go here, roadblock. Like the social anxiety kind of stuff.
Right.
Stuff that it's like, it just doesn't make sense to me in my head, and just how baffled I am just doesn't help.
So the social anxiety would also be a good episode to have.
Oh, buddy.
Jenna got to experience mine.
Yeah. It wasn't bad.
No, but it was like really overwhelming. And it's, I used to be so comfortable in bars. I would dance, karaoke, run across like bar. Like it was my thing. And like last night, I couldn't even stomach like to get up and karaoke. I was just so like overwhelmed by the sheer number of people that was like, oh my God.
And the noise.
Oh my God.
It was a karaoke bar, so it was loud.
And it was just like, I'm not used to this. I haven't been around this many people. And eventually, I had to cut the night short just because I couldn't do it.
I think that's another kind of crisis management. What you were mentioning on the way over here about the difference between responses to social anxiety in a friend group, different kinds of friend groups and different kinds of responses. Do you want to?
Yeah. Conservative friend groups versus liberal friend groups.
Typically.
My conservative friends, if this was the situation last night, and I had expressed my anxiety with me, just do another shot or just get over it or you'll be fine. It's no big deal. Just a few hours, just a little bit longer. Whereas all of them were like, it's okay. Or, do you need anything? Are you sure you're okay? No, it's no big deal. Go. Like, very supportive and understanding. It's good to have friends like them. They're really cool. Hannah, Thomas, Jenna, Drew, Taylor,
V.
Jonathan, V, Eric, like they're all really cool, understanding, and nice people. Like
Ethan,
I don't okay. I don't feel like I should be included in that table. I'm sitting there. I felt so out of place yesterday. I'm like sitting at the table. I'm like, dude, I don't belong with these people at all. Like, that's how I feel in sad. All situations. Cause I was like, no, these are actual YouTubers. That's how I view it in my head. Like, I'm like,
what is that?
I'm at the wrong table right now. Like, I need to be at like the juniors section.
All right. We need to figure out how to show you what you're doing.
It's weird for me. It's really weird. I'm not used to it.
Would you have stayed if we had been condescending and flippant?
Oh no, I would have been like, okay.
Would you have left sooner?
No, I would have left way sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. If someone is gonna get like rude with me like that, not understanding, I'm like, if they're not even going to bother to try to understand what I'm going through, then I'm not giving them any more of my time.
Yeah, that's not a friend I want anymore. That's all. That's like most of my friends in the past.
Like, and it's I had worn Hannah too. I'm like, I'm said this on the show. I'm not like I'm a little different because I get social anxiety. Like, I get really sheltered and like quiet and like need like my headspace. I'm not always like,
you overthink everything you're saying.
Yes, I do. I doubt myself a lot.
So that's a different kind of crisis. That's a self crisis. That's something that you have to learn to manage. Otherwise, if you don't, you can become whatever happened to that poor man on the street corner.
Yeah.
So there was a meme that I shared on my Facebook a few days ago, and it's stuck in my head. And I forget the exact wording, but the basic message was, when somebody's house is on fire, you don't criticize them for shouting.
Right.
So when somebody else who's having a less obvious tragedy or emergency in their lives, why do we judge them for shouting? We don't criticize their tone of voice.
Right.
We listen. We try to help. Sometimes
we make things worse. So to Kaitlyn's question, Ethan, when would you accept that you're a YouTuber?
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
I really don't know, because I still don't feel like a professional YouTuber.
So then we'll figure that out. It just takes time. He'll be fine. I hope
so too.
We're coming up on the hour here.
Yeah, we did. I guess we did get another almost 30 minutes out of it. Yeah. Better at vamping than I realized.
So what did we learn here? Did you learn anything from this conversation? I wonder.
That things are always more complicated than they seem. And you definitely cannot paint things with a broad brush. Like, I cannot give any type of generalized advice on what people should do given these crisis situations, because there's just too many different scenarios to account for.
I'm going to put this up here. Right, this right here real quick.
I get it, but you are amazing, Ethan. You are
saying.
Thank you.
Just saying. I agree.
This is when I like to remind people that I am just like everybody else.
No, I think everybody is different, and everybody has different characteristics that stand out. And people are benefiting and showing appreciation for certain characteristics that you are sharing with the world.
It's a good way to put it. By the way, I'm like so nervous doing this stream right now. I don't know if that's come across at all, but I'm not in the we should talk about safe spaces.
Ooh, because mental health and safe spaces.
Right. Because that's the thing. When I'm in my room, I have nobody looking at me. Like, even talking to Jenna right now is different in person than it is on camera. Like, when I'm in my room, I'm just looking at a camera. It's way less intimidating. I'm in a completely safe area right now there's other people in this house. I'm sitting right across from you. It's very different.
So I could be wrong, but I'm under the impression that that is a somewhat neurodivergent characteristic. By neurodivergent, I mean, what is the actual definition? I'm not sure. Somebody please share in the chat what the actual definition of neurodivergent is. But I mean, I just know, I go for concepts. That's how I think. I think conceptually. So anyways, my point is, it seems like that's a common thing amongst this type of people, which I consider myself one. I've actually been diagnosed as one. But to have to prepare in advance, to really have to like think about something before you're thrown into it or you get completely thrown off. You know what I mean?
Right.
I guess being involuntarily forced out of your safe space, which, I mean, that's life.
I know. I almost was suggesting, like, originally thinking we'll just cancel this show. Like, even last night, I was like, oh my God, maybe we should not do it. I'm not sleeping in the same place. I'll be recording somewhere else. I'm going to be so thrown off. We
could have had Hannah do it.
Oh yeah.
We'll talk to her later. But anyway, yeah, I think I've learned that there are options there. That just because I can't physically make a big difference. It's a valuable quote. If someone is not going to even bother to try to understand what I'm going through, then I'm not going to give you any more time. Put that on a Post-it. You know what I mean?
That's a good one.
That's a good one. I think that's a really healthy boundary. And that's actually a boundary that I have set with a family member that I used to be very close to. One of the last things this person said to me before I walked out was, I said, I was talking and he was talking over me. And I stopped and looked at him. I said, are you even listening to anything I'm saying? And he said, why would I listen to you? What can I learn from you? And I was like, so you're not even going to say that you're not listening. You're just going to tell me you're not going to listen to me. Why am I here?
Right.
And I walked out and I said, don't talk to me again. I have no interest in that kind of just blatant disrespect. At the same time, he probably doesn't see it that way. And I could be misinterpreting. I'm just trying to be careful.
Right.
I don't know.
That's one other thing I want to talk about is one thing I have started applying in my personal life is when I talk to anybody through text or in person, I now pretend I am on a show at all times. And it has made me
put your empathetic voice on, right?
It's made me far more accountable for my words. Cause I'm like, there's times I've said, like, going to say something and I'm like, how do I know that's true? How reliable is this? Should I really be saying this? I'm not confident in saying this. Therefore, I'm not going to say it. Well, what'd you do? What did you do?
I just made it full screen. That's all.
Oh, okay.
All right. I'm just putting something in the chat really quick to help with Kaitlyn. I think she's trying to look up the definition. Oh, thank you, atheist against pseudoscientific nonsense. I love that word.
Oh no, that's what happens. We're streaming to their page, so you commented as all of them. So
oh, whoops! I just learned another thing.
Yeah.
Anyways,
hey, what did everyone think of the in-person show? Hope you enjoyed it. I hope I was not too weird.
I think people like you because you're weird. I think people like me because I'm weird.
Yeah.
And the people that don't like me because I'm weird.
Well,
or actually, I'm sure they come up with plenty of reasons, but I think weirdness is a good thing. I don't think weird is an insult anymore.
Want to see my socks?
See? Weird is so cool. Weird.
Yeah, I guess the shirt probably gave it away a long time ago.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'm not ashamed of it.
Oh, like and subscribe. Real quick, I didn't have my patron sheet, our patrons thingy majigger up. 1 second. Crap.
In the meantime, let's see.
There we go. Thank you to our patrons: Kenneth, Leonard, Expresso Cat, Doanya, Kaitlyn Beyond, Rachel Watson. Also, Kaitlyn is our wonderful call screener, which I forgot to notify that we weren't doing calls. again, I apologize, but really appreciate your help. And
let us know what y'all think of the Ethan and Jenna show as a sample non-call-in show. We would have to change our slogan from "Call Us, We Listen."
Yeah, although I really do like the call.
No,
show.
I don't think we should change the show. I think this could be like a spontaneous every now and then, get an excuse to fly Ethan to Austin.
I did have a good time. So for those who don't know, Jenna let me stay in her house. She's very, very nice and courteous, and it was not expected at all, but really nice. And she's been driving me everywhere, and so has Hannah and Thomas. They're all very welcoming and really, really awesome people, and I've had a great time.
You're amazing, Ethan. I'm going to say that over and over and over again until you get used to it.
No, because I don't want people putting me on a pedestal.
I don't think that saying you're amazing is putting you on a pedestal. I think it's a compliment that you can say to many people and not put them on a pedestal. Do you think that anyone in this group that you've hung out with, do you think any one of us is amazing?
Yeah, I think you're all pretty damn amazing.
Are you putting every one of us on a pedestal?
Well, no, but that's different.
Why? Street epistemology, y'all.
We'll save that for another episode.
Anyways, what do you have going on this week?
We had the pickup line off this past Thursday. We'll be returning to it this one with
a bonus clip.
Exactly. 20 minutes of Ethan getting a little embarrassed during sex toys with Hannah.
In the same room of Hannah.
Yeah. So you can see the pickup line in person.
Yes.
It would be so cool one day to do this in front of a studio audience. Although I'd probably be
probably the first time.
Yeah. Man, you used to do this in front of a studio audience.
I started doing this.
That's wild. Like thinking about looking over there and there'd be people there.
But you know what, though? They put you in a box.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I'm taking him to show him the ACA eventually.
I wasn't sure if we were supposed to say that. Yeah, I'm going to get to go to the ACA.
I'm not going to say when, but eventually we're going to get him in there and he'll be able to see that there's like a glass window, a soundproof window in front of you. So yeah, you can see chairs, but when you look at the camera, it's like you can, I don't know how to explain it. You can separate yourself. You can just kind of pretend it's just you in your own studio.
It's going to be surreal when I get to see it. This whole trip has been very trippy for me. Like when I first saw Jenna in the car, I'm like, this is Jenna Belk in person. This is really cool. And then you'll get to see a clip of me scaring Hannah.
That was so cute.
It was perfect.
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you everyone for watching. Everything went back to normal this week. Tuesday, The Perspective. It's going to be me and Laura McGee. That's where we tackle supernatural and paranormal claims and all that stuff.
She's great.
Laura's awesome. So she's going to be like a regular returning co-host as
awesome.
well.
And I'll be on The Perspective soon, couple weeks.
Yes. I don't remember which day maybe
it's either like the second to last week of May or the last week of May. But,
yeah.
On a Tuesday or something. Anyways, is that all you have going on?
That is all, I think. Wait. Oh, wait. Is it this Saturday or no? The following Saturday. Kenneth, Brainbug, and myself are doing atheist movie night, and we're going to be watching The Case for Christ and reviewing it live.
Have you seen Yes, God, Yes?
I have not, but we'll put that on the list.
We'll talk about that later. Trying to keep this away from religion. I have tomorrow morning, I will be doing Genesis just like usual. I normally do it every single weekday morning. Oddly enough, I'm flying to visit my mother for the first time in like a year and a half for a couple of days. And so I'm going to bring my laptop with me. I'm going to try to keep streaming Genesis every single morning, but I can't guarantee it this week. I promise you that is a major goal of mine. I'm going to try to do that. I can't do carrot noises this week. And I should be able to do Atheist Stasis. I just won't be able to be present during the live premiere. So look for a posting of Atheist Stasis on Wednesday, and look on Twitch for Genesis. And actually, I should probably just release a few carrot noises and Genesis videos to YouTube and share those so that people can have something new to watch.
And it'll get your watch hours up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why. For some reason, I can't direct my thinking that way.
Really?
We can talk about that later too.
All right. Well, anyways, thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thank y'all so much.
And have a safe and wonderful week.
Be safe.